Greetings and salutations, she's back at it again. Sea Monsters reading vlog. I don't have anything else to say in this intro, let's fucking go. I didn't do this in my last 2 reading vlogs, but every time I read a new book, I change bookmarks, and I'm now going to show you which bookmark I use every time. So today we have this lovely Carol Danvers bookmark. She'll be our bookmark for Sea Monsters. How fun! The way in which Percy just goes Florida, I thought. Though I wasn't sure how I knew that. I've never been to Florida, and my brain just went, me either. I just want to go to Disney World. Imagine if I thought about anything other than Disney parks. Just imagine. I thought I saw a shadow flicker across the glass, a human-like shape. But then there was a knock at my bedroom door, and my mum called, Percy, you're going to be late, and the shadow at the window disappeared. Hey, Annabeth! How do you make blue eggs? How exactly? Maybe they're scrambled. That makes sense. My brain was just going to poached eggs, and I was like, how exactly do you make them blue? If they're scrambled eggs, you can make them blue. Okay, I'm an idiot. Sorry. I just had to think about it. That's all I had to do. I'll tell you what. This afternoon we'll celebrate the end of school. I'll take you and Tyson to Rockefeller Center to that skateboard shop you like. He's a skater kid, and that's everything to me. Skater kid Percy is everything to me. As I stepped outside, I glanced at the brownstone building across the street. Just for a second, I saw a dark shape in the morning sunlight. A human silhouette against the brick wall, a shadow that belonged to no one. Then it rippled and vanished. How does he not know this is Annabeth? Seriously. You know someone with an invisibility cap. You know that that's how her cap works. Put 2 and 2 together, Percy. I always forget that Tyson, literally lived in a box in an alley. Was just straight up. Not only, I always remember that he was abused and he has pierced scratches all over him, but I for some reason always forget that prior to Percy, and I guess because I always just remember that he went to this private school, and for some reason I assumed that they would have given him accommodation, but that's what Sally was complaining about, the fact that they didn't do enough for him. I always just forget that he was straight up homeless. I love Tyson. I want to give Tyson a hug. I just want to give Tyson a hug. Imagine being Annabeth. Imagine being 13, you're on a fun little vacation with your family, and you're visiting all these monuments that you admire so much and that you tell your friend about all the time. So you email him a photo of you at these monuments, all excited. That friend then goes to a public library, because it's 2005 and he's not from a wealthy family, so you cannot tell me that he owned a printer. He goes to a public library, prints off this photo of you, and keeps it with him at school. Keeps it in his notebook that he has at school, and probably at home as well, just to pull out and look at you sometimes. Just stares at this photo, keeps it with him all school year, all the time, always. What I'm saying is Percy Jackson is a simp. I wished Annabeth were here. She'd know what to make of my dream. I'd never admit it to her, but she was smarter than me, even if she was annoying sometimes. The soulmatism of it all. Perseus Jackson not recognizing Annabeth's voice. That's the time. I get it. You're not expecting to see her there, so her name's not the first thing that comes into your mind when you hear someone say your name. But still, would he not be like, hey, that kind of sounded like Annabeth? Because he doesn't. This dodgeball scene is what I think Kurt Hummel thinks dodgeball was like. Suddenly, the giant's body went rigid. His expression changed from gloating to surprise. Right where his belly button should have been, his t-shirt ripped open and he grew something like a horn. No, not a horn. The glowing tip of a blade. The ball dripped out of his hand. The monster stared down at the knife that had just run him through from behind. He muttered, ow, and burst into a cloud of green flame, which I figured was going to make Baby Cakes pretty upset. Standing in the smoke was my friend Annabeth. Her face was grimy and scratched. She had a ragged backpack slung over her shoulder, her baseball cap tucked in her pocket, and a bronze knife in her hand, plus a wild look in her storm grey eyes like she'd just been chased 1,000 miles by ghosts. Matt Sloane, who'd been standing there dumbfounded the whole time, finally came to his senses. He blinked at Annabeth as if he dimly recognized her from my notebook picture. That's the girl. That's the girl. Annabeth punched him in the nose and knocked him flat. And you, she told him. Lay off, my friend. That right there is potentially my favourite part of Sea Monsters. Friendly reminder that Percy missed Annabeth probably more than he wanted to admit. I'm back on my overanalyzing Annabeth bullshit, but have you been having the dreams? The dreams about Grover? Her face turned pale. Grover? No. What about Grover? Her fear of losing him is so severe that she's not just worried because he's her friend, she's worried because she's so used to everyone leaving her in one form or another. She understands that Talia didn't choose to leave her when she turned into a tree, but Talia still left her. and she's scared that Grover is going to leave her in the same way. He's just not going to come back. And here we have the birth of the Grey Sisters' paranoia that if any passenger in their taxi gets hold of their eye, they will throw the eye out the window unless they are given the information they seek. In the movie, didn't the Grey Sisters, trigger warning for the Percy Jackson movies, but in the movie, didn't they tell him, like, the fucking Great Prophecy? I could be wrong, it's been years since I watched the Sea Monsters movie because I actually hate it more than the Lightning Thief movie, but I have this memory of the Grey Sisters telling him, like, a half-blood of the eldest gods shall reach 20 against all odds, and it sticks out in my mind because I just remember how jarring and awful it sounded to hear shall reach 20 against all odds rather than shall reach 16. Just want to point out that here, Percy legitimately sprains his ankle, which is a reason why he can't immediately get up, and Annabeth runs to help him. I remember something that enraged me in the Sea of Monsters movie is that during this ball scene, I don't even know, Annabeth gets, like, lightly knocked over and then for some reason can't stand up herself. There's no reason why she can't stand up. She was just knocked over a little bit because, like, all of Camp Half-Blood is, like, incapable of fighting anything in this one fight scene. But she gets knocked over and completely fine. Completely all A-okay. No broken bones. Nothing. She's good. Yet she can't stand up herself and she has to call for Percy and Percy has to come help her up and then she's fine to run off. Notice how that's not what happens here. Annabeth isn't a damsel in distress and the only reason why Percy needs her help is because he's legitimately injured. There's just a difference there. I don't know if you can tell. I literally forgot about Tantalus. Don't know if that's how you say his name. Tantalus. I'll probably switch between the two of them as I go. I always forget about his existence. My head is always just like, Chiron's there all the time. Chiron's always there. What do you mean? I forgot about him. Wow, my memory. I've needed to reread this series. Holy shit. I've needed this reread. Seriously though, again, sorry to be an Annabeth Kinney and to just focus on Annabeth's point of view, but imagine getting back to camp and Talia's tray is poisoned. Once again, those abandonment issues, they're getting even worse because even Tree Talia is now dying. Once again, talking about Annabeth, Chiron is her father figure and he's leaving. He has to leave. It's not his choice, but once again, someone Annabeth cares about leaving. But I fear I'm being held responsible because I did not prevent it and I cannot cure it. The tree has only a few weeks of life left, unless what? Annabeth asked. No, Chiron said, a foolish thought. That has the exact same energy as Dumbledore in Prisoner of Azkaban. Tell me I'm wrong. Not to compare Chiron to Dumbledore, just that specific instance. Chiron is a much better person than Dumbledore. Swear you will do your best to keep Percy from danger, he insisted. Swear upon the river Styx. I swear it upon the river Styx, Annabeth said. Thunder rumbled outside. She's still keeping that oath. It's just mentioned again that all of her siblings from the Athena cabin all have blonde hair and grey eyes like Annabeth, and I can't remember who posted this, but I saw a Tumblr post years ago that has stayed in my mind rent-free ever since, that just said the Athena kids don't actually all have blonde hair and grey eyes. Percy's just so smitten with Annabeth that he just kind of projects her onto all of them and just sees them as her. We've got our first mention of Beckendorf, of Charles, my love. I forget constantly that the Stoll brothers aren't twins. Travis and Connor in my head are just twins. They just are. I actually love that Poseidon does loud and proud claim Tyson. And I know that it's kind of a strategic move on Poseidon's part, but I just like it. Tyson deserves to be claimed, is all I'm saying. Also, I kind of fuck with the chariot races. Can we bring those back? Oh my god, I was gonna say, can we bring those back in a future book? Well, that hurted me a little. I completely understand where Percy is coming from when it comes to his embarrassment over Tyson. Percy is 13. The way that he's viewed at camp does mean a lot to him. He's grown up being an outcast. The fact that he was a hero at camp and people liked him probably meant the world to him, and now that's gone and everyone's just talking about Tyson being his brother, and it is probably hard to process when you're 13 that these literal monsters, even though they're not all monsters on the inside, they are classified as monsters, are your siblings and are part of your family, it's probably a little hard to process. It's probably a little embarrassing. So I do understand where he's coming from. But oh my god, it breaks my heart to hear Percy talk so unhappily about being Tyson's brother. Percy and Annabeth arguing with each other. The angst of it all. God bless Beckendorf for just immediately welcoming Tyson with open arms and just being like, yeah, I'm gonna teach you how to forge. I'm gonna teach you how to build stuff. It's all good. Like, he just treats him with kindness. And I know that comes from being a Hephaestus kid, but I think that also just shows how fantastic of a person Charles is. Every time I read about Grover being in a wedding dress, I think about that time when me and my friend Taylor, you've seen her, she's been on this channel, when we were in 6th grade probably, we both got really obsessed with Paul and Banana's books videos, and in her book talk for Battle of the Labyrinth, she was talking about how she always pictured Grover in these books as like Grover from Sesame Street, and Taylor just, with some awful Photoshop skills, made this photoshopped image of Grover from Sesame Street in a wedding dress, and it still to this day just lives in my mind rent-free. I love that after Grover creates the empathy link, finds Percy in his dreams and is like, you have to save me or I'll die, and if I'll die, you'll either die or be in a vegetative state for like years, so maybe give me a hand, maybe help me, maybe save me. But then as he's like pulling out of the thing, he's like, sweet dreams. I love Grover. We are so going to lose, I thought to myself, but I had to try. You act like this, whatever it is Grover found, is the only thing in the world that could save the camp. What is it? I'll give you a hint. What do you get when you skim a ram? Messy? A fleece. I love them. No one is doing it like them. Europa fell off and died along the way, but that's not important. It was probably important to her. These books do not get enough credit for being as funny as they are. Fun fact, when I first read this novel as a kid, I like fully believed that the Bermuda Triangle was the Sea of Monsters. I was like, that makes so much sense. Of course the Sea of Monsters is the Bermuda Triangle. I think it is so incredible, legitimately, how much information and education Rick fits into these books. This entire series and world of his, the entire Ridenverse. Like, you're getting so much information, you're being taught so much ancient history without ever realizing that you are. He fits in all this education about it without it ever feeling overwhelming or feeling like you're studying or feeling like you're getting like too much information or more information than you can retain. It's so incredible, and it's such an interesting and effective way of getting kids interested in ancient history and in these mythologies, honestly. Public announcement that George and Martha are just the loves of my life. They're calling him Hercules again. This is too many times for it to be an accident. I'm confused. Are those Minotaur shaped? The lemon ones, yes. The grape ones are Furies. Or are they Hydras? Just drop in the names of the monsters. What happened to names have power? So, if we fail, there won't be any camp to come back to. Yeah, but you promised Chiron. I promised I'd keep you from danger. I can only do that by coming with you. That has the same energy as you need me to, seaweed brain. If you're gonna save the world, I'm the best person to keep you from messing up. Percy, Annabeth said, trying to keep her cool. We're going to Polyphemus' island. Polyphemus is an S-I-K-C-Y-K... She stamped her foot in frustration. As smart as she was, Annabeth was dyslexic too. I love her. That's my baby. That's my motherfucking cinnamon apple. I am once again making it known that I want a hippocampus. Disney, when you make season 2 of the TV show, can you release like a hippocampus plush, please? I would very much so appreciate that. I was standing in a cavern at the edge of an enormous pit. I knew the place too well. The entrance to Tartarus. You'll know it a bit better soon. Oh shit, I did not remember this. Their voice on the intercom is someone with an Australian accent. I was fucking wrong. I said that the only mention Australia gets in this series is fucking Echidna, but I was wrong. We have an Australian accent on the Princess Andromeda. Australian demigod, right. We have to find out what Luke is up to, Annabeth agreed. And if possible, we're going to beat him up, bind him in chains, and drag him to Mount Olympus. It's so much easier for Annabeth to be angry at Luke and hold him accountable for his actions before she's actually seen Luke again since the betrayal. It's almost like she's been like gaslit or emotionally abused by him. That's funny, isn't it? Annabeth hissed hide and shoved us into a supply closet. This is the maintenance closet, Annabeth. This is like the most cliche hiding place. Luke actively calling Annabeth her cousin when having feelings for her. I did not need some Sweet Home Alabama mixed into this grooming. I did not need that. Luke is just straight up gaslighting Annabeth. I fucking hate Luke so much. I actually just despise Luke Castellan with every fibre of my being. He reminds me so much of people who've abused me in my life. And I really just hate him. I really just hate him. Luke literally making Annabeth feel guilty for travelling with a Cyclops and saying that Annabeth is dishonouring Talia's memory. In like 3 seconds after Luke has said himself that he has poisoned Talia's tree. Annabeth is fucking 13 years old here. She is a child, and Luke is playing these mind games with her when Luke is an adult. Luke, I cut in, listen to me. Your father sent us. His face turned the colour of pepperoni. Weird way to say he's angry, Rick. Weird description for that. Little by little, we're calling his life force out of the pit. With every recruit who pledges our cause, another small piece appears. That's disgusting, Annabeth said. Luke sneered at her. Your mother was born from Zeus's split skull, Annabeth. I wouldn't talk. He does kind of have a point, and I can say this as an Athena kid. I love the party ponies. I love the implication that they just live in like a constant rave. I love it. We can't let them catch us, I said. They'll ask too many questions. Keep going into Chesapeake Bay! How do we know that the sperm would work? We had a spy on the inside. That's right, said Luna Morgan! I'm so sorry. Half-blood hideout. I looked at Annabeth in awe. You made this place? Talia and I, he said quietly. And Luke. That shouldn't have bothered me. I mean, I knew Luke and Talia had taken care of Annabeth when she was little. I knew the three of them had been runaways together, hiding for months, surviving on their own before Grover found them and tried to get them to Half-Blood Hill. But whenever Annabeth talked about the time she spent with them, I kind of felt, I don't know, uncomfortable. No, that's not the word. The word was jealous. Yeah, because you like her, you idiot. I would like to talk about how much easier and how much more willing Annabeth is already to open up and be vulnerable with Percy. She's already got more trust in him than she's had in other people for a very long time. Percy just kind of asks, almost expecting Annabeth to shut him down about what Luke meant by not trusting Cyclopses, and Annabeth just takes a deep breath and immediately starts telling him. She never would have done that in The Lightning Thief. I honestly love having Clarice on the quest with them here. I really, really do. I think we get to see a lot more of Clarice. We get to learn a lot more about Clarice and her motivations and her relationship with her dad by having her work together with them. You don't really get that at camp, even though they're obviously always on the same, not always, generally on the same team fighting for the same cause at camp, for example, you know, protecting Talia's tree together. By having Clarice on a quest, we really, really get to sympathize a lot more with her, and we see this in the first short story in the Demigod Files as well. I always forget the title of it. It's like Percy Jackson's Stolen Chariot, I believe, which is where Percy has to team up with Clarice in order to, you know, help her find this chariot, and it's this little mini quest that the two of them go on, and that's again where we see a lot of Clarice's character development, and we learn a lot about her family situation and why Clarice is a bully. And you know, I like having Clarice on the quest is my point. Hello, I'm back. I wanted to take a break because I wanted a coffee. Can we please appreciate my little pastel pink mug that's just covered in cats, please? My mug collection is maybe the thing that I'm most proud of in life. Just fun fact. Ares is just straight up abusive. He is legitimately just an abusive father. I think it's quite obvious that Tyson isn't dead here. We know he's immune to fire, the explosion hasn't hurt him, he's the son of Poseidon, he can survive in water. However, when I did first read this as a child, I did think he was dead and I did cry. I'm sorry, Percy. I was wrong about Tyson, okay? I wish I could tell him that. Annabeth Chase admitting she was wrong about a Cyclops when she has genuine so much trauma from Cyclopses that is my baby, that is my little angel. People act as if she has this real trouble with admitting when she's wrong, and like sometimes she does, but she's also human and she has sympathy, and when she really messes up and if she's really unfair to someone, she knows that and she won't be afraid to say that. We're at Cersei's Island. I'm so excited. I forget that Hyla is literally the attendant, I don't know what you call them, the woman working at the spa who actually like first meets them and walks them through. I forget that that's literally her. It's so weird to think about how long they were on Cersei's Island. If I didn't, one, have a cat, and two, have a cat named Percy, I would at some point get a guinea pig named Percy, just for the reference. But I honestly wouldn't trust my cat around a guinea pig, and it would be weird to both have a guinea pig and my cat be named Percy. Like, you can't have both. I mean, she looked good. Really good. I probably would have been tongue-tied if I could have said anything. So, read. There was also something totally wrong about it. It just wasn't Annabeth. There he goes, making my expectations for men astronomical. I also made a TikTok like months ago that was about like Cersei's Island, and I did like the little makeover thing. I didn't have a specifically white dress, so I had like this like silk pink dress on, and I obviously couldn't braid my hair with gold, but I put my hair in a braid. And I just remember I did a stream while I was still in that, and I was still cosplaying Annabeth, but it was meant to be like pretty Annabeth with makeup on and whatever the fuck. And I remember doing a stream and everyone was just like, are you cosplaying Calypso? And I was like, no, but thank you. 13-year-old Annabeth Chase holding a knife to Cersei's throat and saying, how about turning me into a panther instead, one that has her claws at your throat? There is a reason she is my favorite character of all time. That's it. Before I could figure out how to apologize for being such an idiot, she tackled me with a hug, then pulled away just as quickly. I'm glad you're not a guinea pig. Me too. My babies. I love seeing Percy learning how to utilize his powers in this, and like specifically learn how much like power and control he has when he's at sea. It's really cool. It's a really nice development on his like powers over water that we see in the Lightning Thief. Actually seeing him on the ocean, being able to like steer a ship and stuff, it's really cool. Also, chapter 13, Annabeth tries to swim home. We're at my favourite chapter. I still felt change, not just because I had a sudden desire to eat lettuce. I felt jumpy, like the instinct to be a scared little animal was now a part of me. Or maybe it had always been there. That's what scared me most. I love this book. What did you do? I stabbed him in the foot. I stared at her. Are you kidding? You were 7 years old and you stabbed a grown Cyclops in the foot? Oh, he would have killed me. But I surprised him. He gave me just enough time to run to Talia and cut the ropes on our hands, and she took it from there. Yeah, but still, that was pretty brave, Annabeth. He's right! He is right! I tried hard not to look at Annabeth. I managed it for about 5 minutes. That was my big mistake. When I couldn't stand it any longer, I looked back and found a heap of cut ropes, an empty mast. Annabeth's bronze knife lay on the deck. The goosebumps I get every time I read that. This is the best chapter in this novel. You have seeing Talia for the first time in Percy's dreams. You have these cute little moments of Annabeth and Percy just being like friends, just normal kids. They're just having like, they're making fun of each other and they're bonding. But then you also have this horrific scene with the sirens and these emotional, terrifying moments with Annabeth. And oh my god, this is god tier. Annabeth's siren vision just breaks my heart. Like, all she wants to do is have a family and save her friend and build something permanent like that. I really love Annabeth Chase, if you guys can't tell. And we have Annabeth crying in Sea of Monsters. Look, I think Annabeth just probably whispered the words thank you, but the fact that we still don't actually know what she said in that little bubble under the ocean to Percy because he had the wax in his ears keeps me awake at night, genuinely. My fatal flaw is hubris. I blinked. That brown stuff they spread on veggie sandwiches? She rolled her eyes. No, seaweed brain, that's hummus. Hubris is worse. What could be worse than hummus? Hubris brings deadly pride, Percy. Thinking you can do things better than anyone else, even the gods. Look me in the eyes and tell me Annabeth Chase is not a Slytherin. When you think Monster Island, you think craggy rocks and bones scattered on the beach like the Island of the Sirens. The Cyclops' island was nothing like that. I mean, okay, it had a rope bridge across a chasm, which was not a good sign. You might as well put up a billboard that said, "Something evil lives here." But except for that, the place looked like a Caribbean postcard. Wasn't it a fucking abandoned theme park in the movie? I'm sorry to keep bringing up the movie, but every time I get reminded of it, I'm like, how wrong can you be? I also remember saying to my best friend the day before the Sea Monsters movie came out, the only thing I want from this is the scene with the sirens. If it has the scene with the sirens, I don't care about anything else. I'll be happy. Guess who wasn't happy? A minute later, Annabeth hit a slippery patch of moss and her foot slipped. Fortunately, she found something else to put it against. Unfortunately, that something was my face. Can Annabeth Chase just, like, stop slipping and stop falling, maybe? I'd appreciate that. Oh, Clarice, please, for the love of God, just shut up. Please just think through what you're saying and shut up. I love how much Annabeth just fucks with Polyphemus when she's nobody. But, like, it kind of hurted me with hindsight, like House of Hades hindsight. I know that it was ultimately a stupid move for Percy to have just been like, we're just gonna take the fleece and then we'll be off. I trust you. Have a good day, because obviously Polyphemus is going to just attack again as soon as Percy lets him go, but that's why I love Percy so much. Look at him being a little Hufflepuff. Tyson showing up just gives me so much serotonin. And Tyson being like, you're a bad Cyclops. I don't like you. I love that the first thing Annabeth says when she comes to is a joke. She's making fun of Grover for, like, potentially marrying a Cyclops. Like, I love Annabeth so much. I love Annabeth so much. I just propped up Annabeth so she wouldn't fall off, covered her in the golden fleece that we've been through so much to get, and said a silent prayer of thanks. Which reminded me, I still owed the gods a debt. You're a genius, I told Annabeth quietly. That is one of my favourite Percabeth moments and Percabeth quotes in all of the series. I really love that moment. Percy just without hesitation being like, Clarice, this is your quest. This is what the prophecy means. You are taking the fleece back right now. You're flying home alone. You're doing it. What a character. What a protagonist. What a hero. This is why Percy stands apart from, like, every other YA children's series protagonist hero to me, because he's not in it for the glory at all. He's just a Hufflepuff. He's just trying to do the right thing and save his friends or save his mum or whatever. Percy fucking creating an Iris message and then tricking Luke into admitting that he poisoned Tully's tree. Do not tell me this boy isn't a genius. Do not tell me that Percy isn't intelligent as hell. He is so smart. He is so fucking... This is one of my favourite things that Percy ever does. It's so badass. I absolutely love it. But, like, if you're Percy, you know that water resurges your energy. It gives you some more strength. As soon as you get into a fight that you think you may lose, you fucking scan around for water. Why didn't he look and see that swimming pool immediately and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go for a fucking dip in that before I go one-on-one with Luke, one of the best swordsmen ever to go to Camp Half-Blood. Dude. Also, I love the party ponies so much. It must suck to have Kronos as a dad for many reasons. Chiron really got the short end of the stick there. I completely forgot that Poseidon sent Percy a letter. Pretty shit letter. The watch that Tyson makes Percy. I'm gonna cry. Annabeth yelling and making sure everyone at camp gives Tyson the credit he deserves, and Percy proudly calling him his brother. Shout out to the first kind of Percabeth kiss. It's a cheek kiss, but it counts. I would not have had the guts to kiss my crush on the cheek at 13 years old. That's all I'm saying. Also, I love that everyone at camp already ships them so much. Tyson blushed. The crowd cheered. Annabeth planted a kiss on my cheek. The roaring got a lot louder after that. Tyson, I told them he had to. We know. Annabeth said softly. Chiron told us. Cyclops forges. Grandma shouted. Hey, the cafeteria food there is terrible. Like, no enchiladas at all. Annabeth held out her hand. Come on, Cereal Brain. Time for dinner. We walked back toward the dining pavilion together, just the three of us, like old times. There's just something about that golden trio that hits different. Also, I think that's the first time besides when they were in the underworld that Annabeth and Percy hold hands. A moment to remember. And Talia is awake. The book is done. I will admit, the first time I read that, I was just really relieved that Annabeth was okay. That was my only priority the first time I read Sea of Monsters. And I still kind of maintain that. But anyway, that's it. Hope you had fun watching. I feel like I didn't do as many little updates this time. I'm not sure. I'll find out in editing. If you read along with me, if you've read Sea Monsters recently, I hope you enjoyed the book. I forget how much I like Sea Monsters. I always forget how short it is too. I will have the Titan's Curse reading vlog up in a week, hopefully. Thank you very, very much for watching. I love you very much, and I'll see you soon. Mwah.